Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Football Tailgaters podcast. We have Andy, who is our unbiased NFL fan. Myself, I am your Jets fan. Go Jets. We have a lot of football to dive into, and we'll talk about today. Can the Cowboys beat the Eagles? Can Mike White take the Jets to the playoffs? And of course, we have our mini headlines with our quick thoughts. Are the 49ers done with Jimmy G, with the Jimmy G loss? Are Eagles the best team in the NFL? The Lamar Jackson strategy contract, how's it going? How's it working out for him? Towards the end, we will have our Week 14 picks and our reviews, and that's what Andy will take over for those picks. So let's get started with our first topic of the evening. Can the Cowboys beat the Eagles? Andy, you go ahead first. You're the unbiased NFL fan here.
Well, for that particular game when the Cowboys do play the Eagles, I think it's going to be just a 50-50 type of split. It's all going to come down to who can make the better plays. The Cowboys have been getting better each and every week, especially on defense. I still think the offense is a little bit suspect. If they continue with the game plan with the running the ball, they'll continue winning. They started struggling with the Colts and with interceptions, but then they started running the ball and they started getting to the groove again. So as long as they don't shoot themselves in the foot, they can win against the Eagles.
That game is going to be pretty important, I think. It's like towards the end of December, and we already know that the Eagles so far kind of struggle with the run. And we've seen some teams been close to beating the Eagles using the run tactic against them. And if the Cowboys do the same thing and don't abandon the run, because they have an explosive running back in Tony Pollard, and if they use him as they have been using him and not abandon him, I think they definitely have a chance to beat the Eagles. That obviously puts a lot less pressure on Dak Prescott to throw the ball, and he hasn't been wow, right? He's been.
The thing is that the team don't put the game on his shoulders and use his resources around him, including the defense, and you'll get the win.
You'll get the win, yes. And don't put it on Dak Prescott because he hasn't been playing well. He hasn't been playing great or bad. He's just doesn't have what it takes, I guess.
Yeah, the Eagles, they have stuck to their own game plan of running the ball and using the quarterback to use his legs, and they're being successful.
And that's why. And that's exactly why the Eagles have found success, is that they don't abandon. They commit to the run.
Exactly.
They commit to the run, and that's their game plan.
Mm-hmm.
They know it's been working, so they stick with it.
Exactly.
And it's kind of obvious. Okay, the Eagles are gonna go run the ball. Just stop the run. And I think the Cowboys have the defense to do it too, to stop the run.
Yeah.
With Dan Quinn. This all comes down to, the name just slipped my brain. The offensive coordinator.
Kellen Moore.
This all comes down to Kellen Moore and how he schemes against the Eagles. And they should be able to get that win against the Eagles on Christmas Eve. And it might be a critical game for the Cowboys, even though I think it's still going to be, I don't know what the Cowboys would be playing for at that point. I don't know if the Eagles would be losing the number one spot in the NFC East. I think they take that one as the winner. What do you think?
So what is it, like 3 weeks away, I think? Yeah, it's 3 weeks away. So if the Cowboys want to get that first spot, they really need for the Eagles to lose one of these next two games and the Cowboys just to win out until they meet them. So it can, I don't know. That's what's the scenario that can happen. But again, I think with the Cowboys, they just need to, I think for their best interest is to not have a bye week, because after they do have some time off, they do come out rusty. And in the playoffs, that's huge.
Bad.
Yeah, that's huge. So
it's better not to have a bye week.
It's better not to have a bye week, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that applies for lots of teams. Philadelphia faced Cowboys. I think the Cowboys win it, and I think they split it. So Eagles won the first game. I think the Cowboys won the second. They faced Giants twice. I think they swept the Giants, honestly.
Yeah, they did.
No, don't they still have to face them?
No, they already played them twice, and they already
swept them.
Swept them. Monday night and then on Thanksgiving.
No, the Eagles.
Oh, the Eagles.
The Eagles will sweep the Giants.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they have the next two on the schedule, Chicago's and the Saints. Chicago, they probably beat, obviously. The Saints, I think they beat too. So, consider one loss to their record. I don't think this again. It's not even critical. I think they take the NFC East. All right, so let's move on to my Jets. Can Mike White take the Jets to the playoffs? I'll start. I think so. I think he has something special. As you can see, a lot of the teammates they are showing some kind of bond, but I think that's just something they have to do. They showed it when Zach Wilson was the quarterback too, when he was the Miltonator. They were all backing him up, and I think they're doing the same thing here with Mike White. And, showing up with Mighty Ducks jerseys and showing up with T-shirts that say Mike effing White. So there's definitely a connection with them, and I obviously they prefer him over Zach Wilson at this point because he's able to deliver the ball to the wide receivers. And I think that the wide receiver that we have are pretty dynamic at White. Garrett Wilson, I think he's a star. Elijah Moore, I think he's good as well. We have 2 tight ends that are pretty solid, and he did play, the best that he could against the Vikings. Sadly, he wasn't able to, get it in there. Berrios didn't catch the ball. But, it's his, second game here, so maybe he just needs more time under his belt with the offense and more time with the team and practice. So something I read on Twitter is he was a 5th-round pick for the Cowboys. Right. And the news doesn't touch base on that. They just say he's a 5th-round pick, but they don't mention that he was picked by the Cowboys. And I think maybe the Cowboys have a keen eye for quarterbacks. If you look at all the quarterbacks that the Cowboys have taken, they have Tony Romo, who was undrafted, and he was would you consider him one of the best? One of the best
in the Cowboys history? Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
And then you have Dak Prescott, who is also showed some promises, and he's still okay.
Yeah, he's still a lot better than a lot of quarterbacks out there.
Yeah, he's top 10 quarterbacks in the league right now.
Debatably, yeah.
Maybe at the 10th spot. And then you have Mike White, and maybe there is something special here. So
you're gonna just dismiss Cooper Rush.
Oh, I'm sorry, Cooper Rush. Maybe there is something special there too. They just unfortunately probably there's a bunch of quarterbacks that have something special. They just don't get a shot to shine. So to answer the question, can Mike White lead the Jets to the playoffs? Yes, I definitely do think so.
Well, my take on it is that he absolutely can take the Jets to the playoffs, but it's all because of the Jets defense, because the Jets defense are the ones that keep the Jets into the game. I didn't think that Mike White played horrible against the Vikings. He actually did pretty well. Of course, he's not spectacular, but it can be a quarterback that doesn't need to carry the team over to win you those games. Something that I didn't like is that he actually threw the ball 55 times. 57. I don't know why I'm with 55. With 57 times. So that gave you put the game a lot into his shoulders because the running game wasn't working. So if you can figure it out with LaFleur with the game plan, because I didn't like the game calling, going for it on the 1 yard line, going a pass on the 3rd down and another pass on the 4th down, which usually you have a big percentage possibility to get into that end zone if you just run the ball, quarterback sneak, or run the ball. Look what the Seattle Seahawks Super Bowl was haunting them for not running the ball with beast mode. So I think Mike White can take them off. It's just the game plan and the play call from Mike LaFleur to actually do better. I guess to not put it on Mike White's shoulders. It's what will make them successful.
I agree. Mike LaFleur is the reason why the Jets lost the game to the Vikings. They didn't have Michael Carter, but it's not like Michael Carter is a wow factor. They had Bam Knight. They have Ty Johnson. They have James Robinson. They basically did what Kellen Moore does. Abandon the run.
Yeah.
Abandon the run and put it on the quarterback's shoulders. And that's not good. Any team that throws it for 57 times, it's not a good game plan. You need to make sure
unless it's an amazing quarterback.
Unless you want Patrick Mahomes, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't do that. You can't do that. And especially with his second start. But he's also the reason why the Jets were able to get back in it.
Yeah, that's true. Also, the defense just keeping them in the game.
Keeping them in the game, and especially even though they weren't able to push it in there, 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1, they gave the ball back to the Vikings. The Jets got it back again.
Right, thanks to the defense.
Thanks to the defense, but unfortunately they weren't able to seal the win. But yes, I agree. It's on Mike LaFleur to bring up the best game plan for Mike LaFleur and that offense. So it's kind of like the Cowboys. They're kind of a questionable offense and questionable moves, and they don't stick to the game plan. They're just so wishy-washy. They don't know what to do, basically. And I think that's kind of what happens with it when you have young offensive coordinators. So the next toughest opponents for the Jets, they face the Bills, Miami, and Seahawks. The easiest is Jacksonville and Detroit, and I don't know why they even put Detroit as one of the easiest. I think they're getting
Yeah, they're getting their
They're
groove.
getting their groove. So, out of these 5 games, I think they win 3 out of the 2. Hopefully, I can see them winning against the Jaguars, but I guess we'll touch base when that week comes in. All right. So, anything else you want to add?
No, I think we're good. Just
Go Jets.
let's see what happens with the Jets. Let's see. It's been a long time since they haven't been in the playoffs. Let's see if it happens this year.
I hope so. I plan to make an appearance if it does happen. All right. So, we are going into our mini headlines. So, there's just quick thoughts, Andy. What are your quick thoughts that comes to these topics? So,
Okay.
We all learned that 49ers have lost Jimmy G. He broke his foot, and they're going to roll with what's his name? Purdy?
Yes.
Purdy. So, do you think 49ers are done with Jimmy G here? I know they came out with the news that he might even come back for the playoffs.
Yeah, if the 49ers can win these games, if the 49ers can win games with Purdy, then they have a shot for Jimmy Garoppolo to come back for the playoffs. And we all know what Jimmy Garoppolo has done in the playoffs. He has gone to the Super Bowl, and last year he went to the NFC Championship. So I didn't see Purdy playing horrible against the Miami Dolphins. They actually took a win there. Jimmy Garoppolo did leave early the game. So he has a lot of weapons. As long as he doesn't turn the ball over, the 49ers still have a really good shot to just to continue and to be able to even go to the Super Bowl with Purdy. With Purdy helping in December and Jimmy Garoppolo coming back in January for the playoffs.
I mean, that's kind of crazy that they even think that he has a shot to come back. Well, I guess he doesn't need surgery. That's why he has a shot to come back. He doesn't need surgery on his foot. So,
right.
I mean, that's crazy.
It is pretty crazy.
Yeah, I definitely do think that, well, the question is, are they done with Jimmy G?
It really depends at the end of this season, how this season plays out. Do they make the playoffs, first of all? Do they start losing with Purdy? Or does Jimmy Garoppolo come back into the playoffs and he just goes all the way to the NFC Championship or to the Super Bowl? If that happens, then you have to really evaluate your decision of what you want to do with Jimmy Garoppolo. There's a lot of hate towards Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't hate him in the 49ers because he has built a lot of success for him. Thanks to him, they have gone to the Super Bowl. They have been into those big time into those championship games, the NFC Championship games. A lot of people are just giving the credit to the players around him and the coach. But you also need some quarterback that is capable of not turning the ball over and putting the ball where it needs to be sometimes, and that's what he has done. So I think evaluate after the end of the season to see what you need to do. I'm not totally sold on Trey Lance because I have been seeing him injured, but I mean, you did spend a lot for him, so it just sucks then to be in that position that your future and your team, like your players that are around you that you are going to have to pay big contracts to, it might not even work out because of the quarterback. So you know what you have in Jimmy G, just think about it and evaluate it pretty well.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how Mr. Irrelevant plays. He was the last pick in the draft. And if he plays well and better than, Mr. Irrelevant being the last pick in the draft, and if he takes him there and Jimmy is able to come back and, maybe win the Super Bowl, I think he has a good chance with the future with the 49ers. The only thing is, let's say he doesn't take him there. He is an injury-prone quarterback, and I think that's kind of the reason why they were kind of trying to move on for him after.
Look at Trey Lance too.
True. I don't know about Trey Lance. This is his first time getting injured. He might be injury prone. I don't know.
Second time. Yeah, this is his second year.
Oh, that's right.
Last year he got injured. This year he got injured.
But last year he got injured, but he wasn't a starter.
No, he wasn't, but he got injured. He was going to go and play some games, and he got injured, so they couldn't continue playing him. I'm sure the 49ers, if he didn't get injured, they wanted to continue seeing what he can do, even if it was his rookie year. But
my memory serves is that he was just on the sidelines because Jimmy G was just the starter, and that they were done with that project.
Yeah, but he got injured during playing. So
those projects, yeah.
Right.
I mean, they have an issue there. If they have two quarterbacks who are injury prone, maybe Brock Purdy, you think that's his name, is the future quarterback, but I don't know.
No, that's too hardcore to say right now. Let's just see what Purdy can do. What is it? Mr. Irrelevant?
Mr. Irrelevant.
That's pretty messed up. The last pick of the draft, Mr. Irrelevant, but I didn't see him play that bad against Miami.
It was the first game.
It was his first game, but he does have a lot of weapons around him. He has McCaffrey, he has Deebo Samuel, he has Ayuk, he has a monster defense to continue to help him stay in the game. So as long as you don't turn the ball over, Mr. Irrelevant Purdy can actually win you some games.
Yeah, I think he will win some games. Like you said, they have a whole bunch of weapons. on top of that, they have the defense to carry them through it. So I do think this is not the last we see of Jimmy G. He will come back in the playoffs. It just depends on how he plays in the playoffs. He goes to the Super Bowl. What's the deal? And of course, it's his injury. So I guess it's to be determined for Jimmy G in the future with the 49ers. All right, let's talk real quick on the Eagles again. Are the Eagles the best team in the NFL? In my opinion, I do not think so. They might have the record that shows they are the best team in the NFL. What are they, 11-1 or 10-1? I can't remember at this moment. But if you think about it, we're completely disregarding what's going on with the Kansas City Chiefs. I think the record, even though it's not the best record in the NFL,
And they just lost.
and they lost, but I think they are the best team in the NFL. And if it was a Kansas City Eagles Super Bowl match, I think Kansas City takes it.
Yeah, I guess because we've been seeing like the magic of Patrick Mahomes, what he can do. But I'm going to continue saying that the Eagles right now are the best team. I know some people are not completely sold on them, but they have been finding out the ways to win every single game. Granted, they have one of the easy schedules, but they consistently stay in their game plan. They're running the ball, using Jalen Hurts. Man, A.J. Brown's a monster and as a wide receiver. And then they have also Raekwon Smith. So I know they lost against Commanders. I'm sorry. Against the Washington Commanders. And it's just a division game. It's a division game. So nobody has shown like an explosiveness to be able to completely dominate the Eagles. The Kansas City Chiefs is a team to look at, but they just lost against the Bengals. The Bengals are getting hot in the time that they need to be, which is December. So it's not that easy to just say, yeah, the Buffalo Bills, they have had their struggles, or the Bengals, they're barely getting hot, and the Chiefs, they just lost. So I'm still going to stick with the Eagles.
And see, I didn't see the full game, the Bengals and the Kansas City Chiefs.
Man, it was a good game.
I didn't see it. And I know the first time they played, they faced each other for the Super Bowl spot. Mm-hmm. I thought Patrick Mahomes played horrible. He was playing horribly in that game. And from what I think I saw the fourth quarter, he wasn't playing the same that I saw him in the Super Bowl AFC Championship. That was what the game. Mm-hmm. He wasn't playing horrible.
No, he wasn't, but the Bengals did a really good job in taking his most important weapon, which is Kelsey. Yeah, Kelsey. Exactly. So it looks like the Cincinnati Bengals kind of are figuring them out in a certain way.
So then I know what's the issue then. This game is actually the first game ever that maybe having Tyreek Hill is hurting them, because if they took their number one weapon in Kelsey, they had Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
So this is probably the first game, and it's probably going to be something they have to work on, finding a wide receiver that can step up.
Also, the Kansas City Chiefs, I don't know how they're like trying to plan with their running game. They have, if I'm not mistaken, it's Pacheco, McKinnon. I know
they just signed
Allaire. He just got injured. And then they signed Melvin Gordon to their practice squad. He can be elevated. They're trying to figure out this running game for them. And it seems like they're just trying to use so many weapons and trying to figure this out. Right now, we're looking at Pacheco's being number one, but that can always change. It's always like a revolved door. Yeah, it's week to week. Then Juju appears and Juju doesn't appear. It's strange. So they just continue being that dynamic because of Patrick Mahomes and Kelsey. So we'll see.
We'll see. They have the following easy games here. They have Texans, and they meet the Broncos twice. We know all the Broncos is a mess. And the Raiders. I mean, the Raiders might not be such an easy game, because I feel like they might make a run for the playoffs. I don't know what you think there, Andy, but I think the Raiders are kind of making sense now. The offense is clicking. Josh Jacobs is booming. So I don't know if I will consider them such an easy opponent for the Kansas City Chiefs. And they have Seattle, which that's going to make them, run for their money too. So
yeah, no, it's not an easy schedule, and the Raiders, they are getting hot. Maybe I'll eat my words with Josh McDaniels. He's going to be turning this team around. Devontae Adams is being used a lot more, so that making a lot of fantasy players out there really happy. It's the AFC is quite open, and the NFC, comparing like when we were talking about the Eagles, they are not.
Right.
It's just very little NFC teams, and the AFC is just still wide open.
Right. So we can say for the Kansas City Chiefs, though, Broncos are a sweep.
Yeah, for sure.
They win over Texans.
Yes.
And they might split Eagles. I'm sorry, I see the little bird. Seahawks or Raiders. They might win one of those or lose one of those.
Right.
I don't think they'll lose both. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson contract strategy. I I know, Andy, you think something fishy is going on there with Lamar Jackson. He has these injuries, like these little tiny injuries. Like he's sick, he has a flu, or his foot hurts, or what's the deal here? Is this like a thing where he's trying to maybe just save his body?
It could be. It could possibly be. He did get injured in this last game, and then we saw him like walking around like normal. I mean, this is just a personal opinion, but when you're talking about money, since it was a big issue with the contract before the season started, he actually bet on himself and not took what the Ravens were offering him. And so I don't think that he wants to put his body out there and just get more severely injured when after this offseason, he is more than likely going to accept some type of contract, either if it's from the Ravens or from another team. So he puts the Ravens in a particular situation to be like, you know what? I'm not going to be playing because I'm injured and I'm not going to get a lot more injured. So this is the reason, this is why you guys should have been paid me if you guys wanted me to go all out. So I'm going to just protect myself. It could happen.
I don't think there's anything shady going on here with Lamar Jackson. There's training staff and there's like doctors on the staff that would be able to vouch for his knee or whatever his knee issue is. I think he is trying to play. I don't think he's trying to like save his body for a contract or whatever.
You don't think that's in the back of his mind?
It's in the back of his mind, but I don't think he's intentionally trying to like sit out. I mean, there's doctors on the staff that would be able to vouch. Yeah, he does have a knee sprain.
But what if he just says, yeah, he has a knee sprain? No, I think he can play it. He says, you know what? It just really hurts. I can't step on it well. I just can't. That just feels. You have to take his word on it. It's not like, I don't care what you think, Lamar. Just keep going out there. And do you really want to build that relationship with the Ravens and the quarterback, trying to push your quarterback to go into, and you haven't even paid him yet? And then he's like maybe saying like, deuces, I want to leave because you guys haven't paid me. It's a really awkward situation there. I mean, they're probably like close and they're like okay with each other, but they know in the back of their minds like this thing is still above their heads, this whole contract thing.
But isn't there X-rays out there that can confirm he has a PCL sprain? It's not just like, I'm limping.
Yeah, but I mean, he can show, I don't know, inflammation and I mean, that's just pain, like you can take an X-ray and it's just about evaluating the pain there.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think he's really just injured, and the doctor said, or whoever advises them, he will be out for 1 to 3 weeks, or he's week to week. So I don't think he's trying to save his body for a contract, which I mean, in my opinion, that's probably a smart thing to do, but also kind of a shady thing to do. All right, so that was our mini headlines. So now we will go through our game picks for week 14. We'll do our picks and quick reviews about the games and what we think what the outcome will be. Andy, go ahead and take over this one.
Yeah, week 14 game previews. Let's start off with the Las Vegas Raiders against the Los Angeles Rams. Who you got?
The Raiders, I think it's, like I mentioned earlier, it's clicking for the Raiders. Josh Jacobs is running all over the field. Devontae Adams is one of the top wide receivers right now in the NFL. Not forgetting about Saint Amon Brown, but he's definitely, they're all clicking. So yeah, the Raiders, I don't think Rams do anything, especially now, even though with Baker Mayfield saying as quarterback, they're still a garbage team.
Yeah, I may be eating my words with Josh McDaniels. Like, he is actually turning this team around. They are playing way better, and we're seeing Devontae Adams catch the ball a lot more often, and which again, that's making a lot of fantasy players very happy. And the Rams are just trying to figure out with Baker Mayfield. I don't think that he's going to just turn this team around, just what we have been seeing with Carolina and with the Browns. So I'm going to pick the Raiders this week. Next up, we have Next up, we have the Detroit Lions against the Minnesota Vikings. Who you got?
It's crazy that the Lions are favorite here when the Vikings are, a 10-2 or 11-2 record?
Yeah, they only lost twice.
Right. Isn't that insane? The
is.
Lions are favorite. I will choose the Lions in this game because I kind of similar to the Raiders. I think they're kind of clicking. The Swift is kind of coming back. Jamal Williams is also in factor. The receiving core is a big threat to the Vikings defense, so I don't see the Vikings winning this, but it will be a close game. It's going to be probably a high scoring game in my opinion. So, but I think it's going to come down to like maybe a touchdown and last minute, and the Lions will take it.
Actually, I'm going to go with the Vikings. They do have, I believe that their success about winning is going to just continue. The Lions, they are getting better, It's going to be a really high-scoring game, but I think Justin Jefferson is just going to be scoring up a lot of points against the Lions, and Cook as well is going to be scoring some with the running game, and the Lions are also going to be scoring a lot of points with St. Brown and the running backs, Jamal Williams as well, and Swift. So I'm going to still be picking the Vikings just because they've had that success and they're just going to continue with that success. Next game, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Ravens. Who you got?
I think the Steelers take this one again. They've just been kind of unstoppable lately. The Pickett situation, they are really improving with that quarterback. The connection between Pickens and Pickett is also improving. I just feel like, what's his name? Tomlin is getting it together. This team is finally clicking, and I think the Ravens are kind of on a downfall. So Steelers for the win for me.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a close game, but I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers as well. Pickett is getting better each week, and if they stick with that running game with Harris and Snell, I think they can actually be able to do something against the Ravens. And then I know Huntley, I do like the quarterback Huntley for Ravens if he plays this week, but I think that just the Steelers are just going to be able to take it. Next game, we have the New York Jets against the Bills. Who you got?
I want to choose the Jets. I really do. I think they have what it takes to win it. But being that this is the second game that they're facing, the Jets took the first one, and they are going to the Buffalo Stadium, which is a hard place to win. I think the Buffalo do take this one, but I'm not so sold on it completely. It could just be because my heart is for the Jets. But yeah, the Bills. Yeah,
I'm going to go with the Bills too. They play at home. Like you said, I don't think the Jets are going to sweep the Bills. But, you never know. The Jets actually do have a really good defense. If the Bills still are struggling and trying to figure out themselves offensively, and then Josh Allen having some mistakes with that New York tough defense, it can happen. The Jets can actually take this game. But I'm going to pick the Bills just because I don't think the Jets can sweep them.
Go Jets.
Next game, we have the Dallas Cowboys against the Houston Texans. Who you got?
The Texans. No, I'm just kidding. No, obviously the Cowboys. The Texans just recently benched Keenan Allen, or no, what's his name? Kyle Allen.
Right.
And
went back to
Davis Mills. What's going on there? Like, what's the deal? Like, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to prove?
They can't figure it out. I mean, they don't have a quarterback. They're the number one pick of this upcoming for the draft. So yeah, the Cowboys, since they just demolished Indianapolis Colts, they're just going to be taking this win easily. I know that the secondary for the Houston Texans is really good, but I mean the Cowboys just need to run the ball, and they're just going to take over. And that Dallas defense is just going to destroy that Houston Texans offense. So easy win for the Cowboys. Next game, we have the Seattle Seahawks against the Panthers. Who you got?
I want to lean. This is probably a biased pick, by the way. I kind of want to lean towards the Panthers. They just got Sam Darnold back, and I think this is going to help the Panthers win this one against the Seahawks. Do we know the Panthers' defense is good?
They're okay.
Are they better than the Seattle?
I
think so.
I don't know.
They have Chase Horn, I think. But yeah, I kind of want to say the Panthers. I think with an improvement at the position with Sam Darnold, I think the Panthers win this one.
Yeah, that's a very biased choice of just picking the Panthers because of Sam Darnold. I'm going to pick the Seahawks. Geno Smith and that offense are playing extremely well. The Seahawks defense is not amazing, but I think that they can go and tiptoe and beat the Panthers. The Panthers have lost Christian McCaffrey. Their running game is not that bad, but I'm still going to go with Seahawks and Pete Carroll. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the 49ers. Who you got?
49ers. The 49ers, that's an easy one. The defense is just unstoppable. You can't get through this big wall of a defense, and I don't think Tom Brady and the Bucs are able to push through this one like they did with the Saints. So sorry, but 49ers take this one.
Yeah, the Buccaneers just won barely against the Saints. It was a good game. But the 49ers, I know they have a new quarterback with Purdy in there, but they have so many weapons offensively. Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey. They have a monster defense, I believe. For me, it's the number one defense in the league. So I'm going to take the 49ers here. Maybe it's a future team for Tom Brady. We don't know. We'll see after the season. The Miami Dolphins against the Los Angeles Chargers. Who you got?
The Dolphins. The Dolphins, they definitely are a better team. And the Chargers, they have they have what it takes to win in this league. It's just, I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's a coach problem. It's Staley. I think he might be done after the season. There's something wrong with this team that they just somehow, they can't win it in games, but they have a good team. They definitely have a good team. But no, the Dolphins win.
Yeah, the Dolphins are going to take this. I know they lost against the 49ers last week. 49ers, for me, it's one of the big-time top contenders for the NFC. And this was the first time the Dolphins played against a really good defense. So I'm going to take the Dolphins against the Chargers because the Chargers are going to be letting go of the coach because they have a really good weapons, one of the best quarterbacks in the league with Herbert, and they just can't get it. Just can't get over that hump. They're really close in all their games, but they can't win. So they just need a good coach, and they'll turn this over. But I'm taking the Dolphins this game. All right, Monday Night Football. We have the Patriots against the Cardinals. Who you got?
So for this one, I don't know if Kyle Murray is active. If he is, I would choose the Cardinals to take this one. If it's not going to be Kyle Murray, I think the Patriots win this one. So it depends on who's starting at quarterback for me.
Yeah, it's going to be a really close game for Monday Night Football. It's pretty intriguing. If Kyler Murray does play, like you're saying, I do think the Cardinals will be winning this game. Even though it's going to be close, the Bill Belichick's defense is going to try to figure out ways of how to stop Kyler Murray. But the offense for the Patriots it's a big struggle with Mac Jones. So I'm just going to have to go with who has the better weapons, and I think it's the Cardinals. So Cardinals for the win.
All right, was that it? That's all the picks we have?
That's all the picks we have.
Awesome. So, all right. Well, this concludes our podcast. Thank you for sticking with us to the end. To those of you who did stick to us to the end, we appreciate all of you. Please follow us on our socials, such as YouTube, to see smaller segments of the podcast. Andy, please share our socials.
Yeah, you can find us on TikTok on football_tailgaters, as well as on Instagram, football tailgaters, and on YouTube as well, and football tailgaters as well. So please go into our videos, comment, subscribe, like, share, and we would like to really hear from you guys. So comment your thoughts on all of these. Tell us you're crazy, tell us that we're right, tell us that we're just completely out of our minds. We're all for it.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone. You guys have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.